Thank you all very much. Waihaskell Halt. My name is Mark Gauthier. I'm the Wildlife Program Manager for the Upper Columbia United Tribes. And we have several representatives from each of the UCUT member tribes, which includes the Colville Confederated Tribes, the Spokane Tribe, the Coeur d'Alene Tribe of Idaho, the Kootenai Tribe of Idaho, and the Kalispel Tribe of Washington. I'd like to just quickly introduce folks. Then we're going to jump into watching a video, virtual tour of the MAC exhibit, which is focused on the resurgence of the plateau canoe culture, and also focuses on efforts of the Upper Columbia United Tribes to continue to work hard to bring the salmon home. And so I'll just jump into some introductions. We have most folks are on the video. And then we have Patty Porter, who's there with you all in person in the room. So I'll introduce Patty first, I guess. And right now I'm just seeing myself, so I can't really see what's happening in the room. So
hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, Patty's here right here. So I'm going to go ahead and have her introduce herself.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Patricia Porter, and I'm Colville Tribe from Omak, Washington. And I moved to Spokane to be going to culinary.
Okay, and then I see Dan Aiken from the Kootenai Tribe of Idaho. So I'll go ahead and introduce Dan. Dan, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dan Aiken. I'm from the Kootenai Tribe of Idaho, and I'm glad to be here this morning.
Thanks, Dan. And then we have the representatives from the Coeur d'Alene Tribe. We've got Jeff Jordan in the room there, Vince Pion and Peter Mahoney. If you all could quickly introduce yourselves. Thank you for joining us.
Jeff Jordan, Coeur d'Alene Tribe.
Vince Pion, Coeur d'Alene Tribe.
Peter Mahoney, Coeur d'Alene Tribe.
Thank you. And then Lauren Bowman is joining us from the Kalispel Tribe. I'm not sure if you have Lauren on video. I know he was having a few little technical difficulties he was trying to iron out. Hopefully he can. We might not have Lauren yet. And then we also are expecting Devin Pion. I'm trying to communicate. A couple people are just having some technical difficulties. So hopefully Devin and Lauren will be able to join as the video is being presented, and then I'll be available for a panel of question and answer after the video plays. So with that, I think we should be ready to get going.
All right.
I'm Val Wall. I'm the Museum Collections Curator. That's my title.
My name is Mark Gauthier, and I'm the Wildlife Program Manager for the Upper Columbia United Tribes, which are the Colville Confederated Tribes, the Spokane Tribe of Indians, the Kalispel Tribe, the Kootenai Tribe of Idaho, and the Coeur d'Alene Tribe of Idaho. This gallery is focused on the resurgence of the plateau canoe culture.
This exhibit was inspired by the documentary United by Water that was produced by the Upper Columbia United Tribe. We just thought that the Columbia River canoe journey was a really great story that we could tell.
All the tribes depended on canoes. You could carve yourself a canoe or build yourself a sturgeon nose canoe and travel down these water bodies. So the waterways were the highways of the area. Traditionally, everybody had canoes and traveled by canoe. The Coeur d'Alene tribe, that they had 21 different distinct styles of canoes traditionally. So each canoe had different styles, different techniques for constructing them, and used them for different things. And so a couple of the canoes in here are the large dugouts.
They had to find the information from within their tribe of how was this done before, you know, and talk to elders and come up with the words and the language and reconstruct, you know, how to do that. And when we approached Upper Columbia United Tribes, they were excited about partnering with us. It was a really amazing moment when they came in the front door, and the whole community was there, the representatives from all the canoe families. Everybody had a hand on these canoes, and they came down the stairs and down the ramp, and there was no one else here. The museum belonged to them that day, and there were hoots and hollers, and it was a really cool moment.
Hesohal shitet cluis quest, uchin pochtuil sluin sin skill hulau, uchin spokinch. Hello, my name is Devin Pion. I grew up on the Spokane Indian Reservation, and I'm a Spokane tribal member. Our language is in a really big revitalization effort right now. Currently, we only have a handful of elders left that know and speak the language, that grew up with it as children. Because of our Native women, we really have this opportunity to learn our language. Without them, we would not be where we are today. It's about a level 5 difficulty, which puts it on par as Mandarin or Korean. It's a really difficult language to learn, but it's very vital that we learn our language and our cousins around this area, because we're all going through this rapid decline in language speakers. But as for really learning the language and being on my pathway, it's been about 8-9 years of learning the language and teaching the language. It's a long time to be passing this knowledge down. And so that's when we talk about time immemorial, we mean it. That's why it's important we continue telling these stories too. Because for the last 10,000 years, they've been telling us. And for the next 10,000 years, we need to tell these stories too. This too it's a really big part about re-educating. And it's never just one time. Like, we always got to keep coming back to each other and telling each other our stories. We talk about the loss of language and how that leads to a loss of culture. And we're already at the oh no moment. We've passed it. We are in, I guess, I don't know, doomsday efforts to try to save this. Not just our language, but our culture as well. I'm very thankful just to be here today to tell the story about the canoes and share whatever you feel that is valuable. I've never got a chance to paddle in our traditional style with the bark, but I had a more contemporary sturgeon nose that I had the privilege of paddling, and it's amazing how light they are compared to a dugout. I tell our people, like, I couldn't get up and down this river without all you paddlers. It's physically impossible. Just me alone, no way. But together we use each other's energy, and we get to our landing, our destination. But there's a lot of times in between the paddling when there's nobody singing or nobody speaking, that we're just with the water, we're just paddling, and everybody in their own way is being able to pray or just heal whatever that they need to. Thank you for our gathering.
Jeff Jordan, Coeur d'Alene Tribe, Salmon Trout Clan of the Middle Upper Spokane. The Pion Prairie was my mom's, where the Indian blood comes from. I didn't grow up on the reservation. Was an Air Force brat. I think the correct term is nomad. I mean, there's not any modern creature comforts. They live off the land. You take advantage of what Mother Nature is providing for you. I've heard from tribal elders talking about his readings concerning the lake environment, which is canoe environment, among other things. He said the shores would be lined with trinkets, and that's before modern day. Tobacco was the main offering, but in these readings, he said all kinds of offerings were made, especially at the mouth of a river where normally a spirit would be guarding it or protecting it, and so they made sure to make offerings for safe passage. You find a rock that you carried for who knows how long, or you found a feather or some other item that was of value to you, and so for payment for safe passage, you would offer up and then be able to go past them. Part of the historical aspect of the canoes for the Coeur d'Alenes, I'm not sure what types, probably a dugout at least, maybe the sturgeon nose. They would submerge them in the fall and bring them back up in the spring. Just swallow them back up and lotion them basically, for use for the coming year. I work for the Natural Resources Fishery Department. Supervisor says, we need to make room for a cedar log. I says, what? Yeah, we got a cedar log coming. I said, what's a cedar log for? He says, gonna build a canoe. I says, what? Yeah, it's gonna be like a 40-foot log. I said, whoa, you want to be there? I said, that was a silly question, Rabbit. I was the main carver for Warch, is the name of our canoe. As we're soaking it, we found a tree frog, actually. I'm not sure if Warch is a true name. The language, Indian language is really descriptive. And so I never did really ask specifically what Warch really meant besides a frog. It might have been a bullfrog or something, I'm not sure, but it was a Pacific tree frog that was on ours. That's how our canoe became Warch. The log came from the coast over to the plumber, where the kind of like the middle of the Coeur d'Alene res. We put burlap sack, soaker hose, and tarp, and then we kept it, because we had no, per se, real knowledge or how to begin, where to begin, how to do this, how to do that. John Zinger, through UCUT, was contracted to go to the tribes and provide instruction and knowledge. And so, but anyway, during this, he would go from tribe to tribe to tribe on week rotations. People ask how long it took, and I couldn't tell you because it wasn't a schedule. It wasn't like 3 hours a day for this many days. It was hit and miss. And so a lot of people were looking to me to create a schedule. I don't like to do that. And I says, if you want to partake, show up. I mean, that's all I can tell you. But the build itself was just phenomenal. I mean, spiritually and culturally and emotionally. I mean, it was awesome to partake. It's amazing because folks seem to settle into it pretty easily. I mean, canoes, you think, people don't want to settle down. Proud to say that, out of all the canoes the UCUT tribe is involved in, ours is the only one that hasn't capsized yet. It was like my grandpa or something looking down at me, with the proudness on him that went right to the heart. It made me feel really good.
My name's Lauren Bowman. I work on culture for the Kalispel tribe. Just like our population is less than 500. Families lived all along the river long before they came together and be tribes like that. And everybody lived separately. Maybe bands or whatever. I think they were families on the river, and then they'd get in their canoes and go up and they'd all meet Pondray Lake. They'd all meet there, this island or whatever, and they'd go hunt that mountain for that year, and then they'd all go back and do their thing. I heard another story about, we used to live on Priest Lake, and then some of our hunters went up the hill there, and they could see on the top, and they could see across over on the other side where the river is, and all I could see was blue. They said, oh man, there's a beautiful lake over there, great big, we gotta go over there. So they went down and told the people. Everybody packed up or something, went over there and checked it out. And it wasn't a lake, it was all camas. Just the river ran through there, but it was all big camas fields. The sturgeon nose, I heard that they'd build them, like they'd be at a lake or something. Instead of trying to pack it across or to another body of water and things, they'd just put rocks in it, try to go about 8 feet of water, then dive down, put rocks in it, leave it there, and then come back and just take the rocks out and let it float again. Which I do believe that they will float again, because I rode in one of these like this, and it was dried out. When I went on it, it was bowed up. And when I got in, it was really wobbly. I can't go in it, you know, I wasn't going to make it. We put it back in the lake and sunk it down a little bit and came back in about 3 or 4 hours, and it was all shaped just perfect again. It was sudden. It was just something, I don't know. I didn't know they even had a log down there. They just come and asked me if I wanted to make a canoe, and I said I would. I didn't know how, but I said I would do it. And then we just started doing some research and stuff. I didn't want to make coastal canoe because they're a little different than ours, I guess. And we figured out, looked at our styles of canoes and figured out what kind we wanted. And that dugout, flat bottom, it was, I don't know, just it goes good. It just seemed like it was part of us, and that's what one I wanted to do. First one, the feeling you got from getting in the canoe and with all your families and friends, it felt really neat. I guess it made me kind of come out more in the open. I don't go out in public much, but it made you come out and meet a lot of different people. I mean, there's from all the different tribes even, you know, find out you're related to a lot of people. You know, different family all over and stuff. Put it in on our res right there and went down before we took off, then all the kindergartners come down there and prayed for us and everything. Had a little prayer deal going on. That was pretty neat. Have all them kids down there going through and touching our canoe and stuff. Them guys that were showing us how to do it helped us build the canoe, John and his brother. They showed us how to row and to work together, you know, head movements and things like that to stay upright. And that helped out a lot. A lot of people listened to them, what they had to say. Our canoe's just wide enough where you don't have to move or anything, you just row and put your paddle over and row on this side. So it's pretty good. Our front guy, he's our leader. Everybody just follows him. When he switches, he'll holler and everybody gets ready and switches at the same time. And then you don't wobble around or anything, it works out pretty good. We usually have 5 or 6 usually. Then we went down to Ione and picked up and then went across and went to Black Sands and met the other canoe. One was coming down from Canada. We met them guys there and then went down to Kettle Falls where they had their salmon ceremonies. Yeah, that was a neat trip. Nobody knew what to expect. We didn't even know what the river looked like or anything. It was real fun. That's a feeling you don't get again. You just get it one time, you know. That's probably the best trip I had there. It's just nothing like the first trip, though, you know. It's the way it makes you feel, like people are with you, your ancestors, like everybody was with you when you left. It felt really good.
I'm Daniel Aiken. I'm a member of the Kootenai Tribe of Idaho, Tanaka people. A big part of growing up for me was going to powwows and dancing and all that. And then I even went over to Germany for a culture festival over there and danced over there. So I just ended up hearing about like the sturgeon nose canoes and everything, and then they talked about like making the dugout canoes, and I heard that and I was like, well, you know, that's kind of a good way to get more in touch back with like my culture, you know, that I kind of drifted away from for a while. So I just found like it was a good way to come back. The first time we put the canoe in the water, you know, that was pretty awesome to see because we had one Yakima native in there and we had a Kootenai native in there, and so it was, you know, it kind of brought us together already in that sense. It was pretty fun to actually like see all the canoes together, you know, and actually get to meet everybody and like like the canoe family, not knowing like how far it was actually gonna go. You know, I had no idea that, you know, I'd end up calling like half these people like my family. Going on these canoe journeys, you know, it just always brings us a little closer like every time, you know, because, you know, you're learning something new every time, every journey, you know, and it's just, it never really gets old. Always just a good experience. You can just always just feel the energy and everything, and it just really feels like, you know, like you're there with like all the elders like back in the day. The first time our canoe hit the water was at Twin Rivers in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. And so it's on the confluence of two rivers, our river and then the Moye River. And then we paddled from there all the way down into Bonners Ferry for the maiden voyage. When you're out there just, you know, paddling for hours and hours on end, you know, like it kind of sends you into a trance, and you're kind of like really just in like a zone of like, you know, just, it's just hard to explain. Like, you know, you kind of like just go into like a meditative state, and just all you're focused on is just paddling and the sounds of the water hitting the canoe, and you could definitely feel like the energy of like the ancestors with you. It's always nice to see like an eagle or something fly by too. A good thing that you're doing every time you're in that canoe and you're reconnecting with that water. Doing this whole canoe stuff is actually bringing the culture back. It's definitely like an experience, like a spiritual experience every time you're in the canoe. When we do our canoe journeys, one of them, the Salmon Ceremony, you know, we sit there and, you know, we pray for the salmon to come back. You can just feel something when you're in the canoe and everything that it calls to things. Our canoe is Mother Sturgeon. The salmon and everything is a big part of like everything around here, but on our river, you know, we have the sturgeon. And so I work for the Fish and Wildlife Department on our reservation, and we're trying to bring back the sturgeon right now in the same way as everybody else is trying to bring back the salmon here. I can definitely feel the connection between all that, because like when you're more aware of what's going on in the waters and everything, then you're more aware of what the biology of the water is doing at the same time, you know, so it kind of does go hand in hand. You know, they got the canoe done, and then they were talking about going to the Salmon Ceremony. The moment of landing on the beach with all the canoes, you know, all the tribes together for the first time in like hundreds of years. Every time they were like, there's a paddle coming up, you know, and it's like, I couldn't wait to go back out. Good to feel it all coming back, you know, and so that's what, I guess what it was, you know, it's like knowing that, you know, we have to pass this down, you know, that it has to survive.
My name is Patricia Sam Porter, and I'm from the Colville tribe. I live in Omak, Washington. We first started out, Mark Goodier turned around and asked if we come to a meeting, and I told him, yeah. So the idea was to show the canoes and share. I volunteered, and I literally blew everybody out of the water. I told them it's for the salmon, and they go, yeah. I go, it's to show the salmon to come back. And they said, yeah. I said, that's what I'm about, the water and the salmon. It's helping people realize how important water is, how important the salmon is, because everybody took it for granted. Took Grandmother Earth for granted. Now she's devastated. Now the oceans are devastated of plastic. This has changed a lot of people, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful to be part of this. I didn't think I'd ever be in a museum. It's pretty awesome to have people come in and are amazed at what they see here. And then for the different times that I've come in to share the stories that I've been on and what the water's done for me, healed me, helped heal me. I lost my husband in 2014, and I gave up. A year later, we lost a friend to breast cancer. So I went to the services, and my friend, she asked if I wanted to paddle, and I told her what. So she brought me over, and they were still chipping on the canoe. So they let me chop on it and stuff and sand. I told her, yeah, when do we go? When we took off, there was a big old, had to been thousands of blackbirds that covered us, just like a cloud. They protected us and covered us. I was in a bow, and I'd have a vision, and I'd be looking ahead like, and I'd just really be paddling fast, hard. And they all looked at me, what? And I go, our elders are paddling with us. They're with us. We have 7 different vessels that are with us. Every time we'd go out in the morning, we'd have like 2 to 4 to 6 eagles that would go out with the first canoe, bring them out on the water, and then they'd come back for the second canoe, and they'd bring them out on the water. So it happened for every canoe that we'd go out in the morning. So when we'd land at night, them eagles would bring every canoe in. And they'd all look up, and we'd have like 6, 10 eagles just flying. Said, them are our elders. We made it, we're safe. Just amazing things that happened, you know, throughout the whole time. I believe in the prophecies of what the Lakota said, you know, and I believe my brother from Standing Rock. Everybody that was there was called there for a reason. Everybody that was there is the rainbow people. That's what's coming in, is people who have to get together and change to be safe for our children, our great-grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren. Because as it is now, they're taking everything for granted. You know, it's like water. You can't take water for granted. Have faith in the water will take care of you. My brother was in a wheelchair for almost 41 years. 2 days after my brother's service, and my heart's broke. I was his caretaker. Learned a lot from him. My husband come to me, and I looked around. He goes, "Hon," and I was like, "Oh man, what are you doing here? You need to get off the mountain." I told him I'm fine. He goes, "No, you got a lot to do. You need to get off the mountain." So I did. I leaped off the cliff and put in for school. Major change, major. But it's one of the best moves I ever did. I cremated my husband, and nobody knew I packed him. So he did, he traveled with me. And that first time in 2016, I got back from Standing Rock. So I got back, unloading from Standing Rock. Then I loaded back up again, and I was just going out the door. I was getting ready to pick him up. And I could hear him, "Hun," and it's like, oh God, what did I do? "Hun, you promised me when we got back from Standing Rock, you'd bury me." Like, oh, yes, husband, I did. My nephew, his family's side, his great-nephew fixed a box for me out of the cedar, the slabs I got from the cedar slabs from the canoe. He made me a box so I could put my husband inside. And my husband was Ojibwe from Minnesota. Their symbol is a black bear. So on the top of the box, it was probably about 3 inches, about like that. And there was a picture of a black bear. And on the bottom of it was the shape of the canoe. Domya, you're from the canoe. You go through things and take care of them the best way you can. You know, that's why I'm grateful for the canoe, because she took care of me.
Well, I think it's getting handed to me. Yeah, I'm just wiping the little tears away. And thank you very much, Patty, for being there in person. And just thank you to everybody that made this video possible and the opportunity to share this story possible. And, you know, like Dan Aiken said, we're all family now, and these canoes have brought us together in such a special way. And I think every one of us is just proud to be a part of it and proud to be family and proud to share our story with you all. So I know you guys are running short on time, but I'll hand it off and see what we can do to help you move through your day.
Thank you, Mark. Gosh, that was a really touching video, sitting here next to Patty and just listening to everything. I mean, that's really, that made my heart feel good. I mean, I lost my son and my dad 2 years ago, and I could just feel the emotion in the words and the things that you guys have taken on. I mean, that's a big deal. So thank you. That meant a lot to me personally, and just watching this. And I wish you guys the best in revitalizing everything, including the languages that go along with all the instructions of putting the canoes together, and your role as you know, Indian people in particular, where your environment's at, that why you guys have to have canoes here. You know, I mean, that all makes sense. So thank you. So we have our next, or do we have time for questions? And okay, so Mark, I guess what we'll do, we'll have a few minutes. I guess I need to find out if we have any questions or comments. Patty, would you like to say anything? Go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody for this. It's very touching because the water is so healing, and for all the battles that we've gone through, and I get to share and come down to the museum. And when I talk to the people, I let them touch my canoe, because every stroke we do in the water is a prayer for everyone. So I've had elders hold on to the canoe, and it changed their health. And I believe strong in our tradition, our culture, our prayers for the water, and it is for the salmon. So many visions have come to me off the canoe, off the waters, talking with the people of the 4 directions. And that's what it's about, is coming together, taking care of Mother Earth and taking care of each other. And it's a high honor to be here. And I thank you all.
Thank you. Would any of you like to say anything on the?
Thank you everybody for our gathering today and for your words. We're gonna do this together. I'm very thankful for all the hands and hearts that are part of this. Jay.
It's just been really awesome to witness the rebirth of this canoe culture among all of our different tribes here in this area, and go through this process together. You know, culture is this beautiful, like, living, breathing thing, and it evolves over centuries. And our ancestors, you know, took thousands of years to develop what these canoes were going to look like. And it's really awesome to just have that opportunity to put our hands on these trees, these pieces of wood, and add our bit to it. You know, carry on that tradition, and you know, just have an opportunity to feel what it was to be Coeur d'Alene on the water, and to share that opportunity with my children has been a really big blessing.
Thanks, Peter. And then Dan, did you want to share a few words?
I just want to say, you know, thank you, Mark, for everything that you've done, you know, and all the work you do. You know, it's just really appreciated. And to all the other tribes out there too, you know, it's like we're all in this together now. So let's bring it back and let's make ourselves heard. Love you guys. Love you all. And let's do this for the future. Let's do this for our culture.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. We appreciate all the words said, and I know we'll probably, this will be one of the best parts of our TELS conference. So thank you.
That much. Thank you.